Welcome back. This is episode 2 of Mutually Assured Discussion out of Paducah, Kentucky. We're here today with our first guest, Toney Little, of Etc. fame, and soccer fame, of course.
Lifelong.
Like that picture we just saw.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here today, Toney.
Of course. Happy to be here.
And he's going to teach us all about soccer for you non-soccer fans.
Yeah,
so don't worry. Don't click out just yet.
And yeah, the jersey did make it here in time. I've got my New York City DSA jersey straight from New York.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I came prepared also with my Boca Juniors IKEA mashup. It's the IKEA bag.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we could.
I'm not prepared. My jersey didn't come in.
We could start. I want to present Toney with the Paducah FIFA Peace Prize.
Oh, awesome!
Right here.
Fantastic. Thank you. I will cherish that.
Picked that up from Wally World just the other day. So I'll get that over to you at some point.
Nice. I'll make sure to commit several atrocities between now and when you give it to me.
Well, it can go on your shelf with the other soccer ball.
That's right, yeah. I've got a nice little got the Arsenal 2006 lineup up there too.
Hell yeah. All right, what do we want to roll into today? I guess I could start by asking. We've got the third place matches currently going on, probably about to end soon, and we've got the World Cup final tomorrow, Spain versus Argentina. This is probably Messi's last dance. There's probably going to be a documentary about it in 10 years time, maybe 5 years time.
Yeah, potentially. You never really truly know. They'll of course play CONMEBOL final 2 years from now, and I think it's likely that he will still run out for the national team 2 years from now. But in the World Cup in 2030, that'd be a real stretch. I think if he were to play that, it would be to give him like a minor appearance in a group stage game, just to like make sure that his record, he would be the record holder for most World Cups attended at that point with 7. So,
and are they every 2 years now, or is this still every 4 years?
No, it's every 4 years. So it's every 4 years, and then the 2 years in between, the individual federations themselves have tournaments. Like we have the CONCACAF tournament, there's CONMEBOL, there's the UEFA Euros, I can't remember the AFCON championship. I think AFCON was actually last summer. Weirdly, it just depends. It all rotates, and then the Women's World Cup is the year after the Men's World Cup. Yeah, but it's on a 4-year schedule also. So.
Yeah, so we should be expecting that next year. That'll be good.
Yep.
I'll get my jerseys in for that one.
It'll be in for next year. I wanted to ask you. It seems like, of course, soccer has kind of hit a high point in culture, in the United States at least, during this tour around the country with all these games going on. But I wanted to ask, what do you think was the last time that soccer had this big of a splash in U.S. culture going back? I remember playing. I played for many years in my early childhood, and I remember playing FIFA on Xbox almost every weekend. So it had a big impact on me, but it didn't exactly last. And this has kind of been like a resurgence for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I think it just depends on, in the U.S. specifically, where you're from. I mean, we're a huge country, and there are places in our country that are much more worldly and global than, for example, where we're at, Western Kentucky. But it really does come with every World Cup, at least in my experience, the heightened interest comes around in the same sort of pattern, because people you really can't help but be interested globally in it at this point. You can be exposed to basically anything you want to be exposed to at this point. So it's the coverage I don't think is the issue. It's more just that like some people, especially in the United States, grow up playing other sports that are more prioritized and easier to get into. Soccer has a huge pay-to-play issue that we can get into here in a minute, but I think obviously the women winning it in the 90s was huge. I remember being a kid and watching Brandi Chastain bury that penalty and like rip her shirt off, and having that whole like iconic we had a very iconic World Cup in 1994, so it was like the last time we hosted, specifically like with all the denim jerseys, and that was a odd World Cup because it started it opened with a penalty kick and it closed with a penalty kick, which has never happened before or since, as far as I know. So yeah, I think that sorry.
I was just going to say that I think the last time that it was hosted in the U.S. was 1994.
1994.
That was literally 1 year before I was born. I think my dad went and saw a match in Atlanta, and that might have been what really sparked his interest in it and got me and my brother into it at such an early age.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would be... The U.S. has competed in the World Cup since 1930, but yeah, I feel like the first time it was like became like part of the culture, like across the country, it would have been in 1994. But of course, I was 4 years old at that point, so what cultural impact it had at the time is certainly not for me to determine. But I've played soccer since about then. I mean, I started in the American Youth Soccer Organization, AYSO, in West Tennessee around that time, 4 or 5 years old, and I've played since. So I've been playing soccer for right about 30 years. Always been involved in it in some way or another. So.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I also wanted to ask this World Cup season what some of your favorite matches have been, and maybe some of your standout players that you've been enjoying.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm obviously I'm a U.S. supporter first. I am the farthest thing from a patriot, but you don't get to choose what national team.
Yeah, Toney Little, America first.
Yeah, right.
You heard it here.
Yeah,
you heard it here first.
Yeah, I don't think you get to choose what national team you support. And like I feel like soccer is inherently tied to politics. I think there's also space to divorce those things and support the country you're from in the World Cup. So going in, I was hoping that the World Cup would have a deep run, or the U.S. would have a deep run, and aside from that, like. I'm a lifelong Arsenal fan. I've been an Arsenal fan since I was like around 10 years old, and so naturally, like I want to see our players do well at an international level. And so England has 4, I believe, Arsenal players. Spain's got 3. Norway, obviously, our captain Martin Odegaard is captain of Norway as well, right behind Erling Haaland, and. Yeah, I think we had like 14 or 15 players go to the World Cup, so I was hoping to see all of them do well to a point, although I will say, really sad that Declan Rice is playing today for England. I feel like my man needs a rest. He's played soccer. He's played, probably like 2 games a week on average for the last like 60 to 70 weeks at this point, and that's just not something that the body can maintain for very long at that level, so I hope he gets a rest soon, but... Yeah, some of my favorite matches so far have been like like I think we were talking about before the show, Argentina and Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde really put up a fight against Argentina, which is awesome. You get giant killings in the World Cup that are really cool. Minnow teams come in and they overperform, or they show up and they get fed a little bit by the energy and the spotlight of the tournament.
Yeah, it's like the one of the largest, maybe the second largest country in South America, with the star player of probably the last 2 decades up against 6 islands off the coast of Africa in the middle of the Atlantic. Like, what a great showing. Me and my coworker at work watching on a little phone just propped up against the shelf, and we were going nuts for him. We were having a great time.
I think at the time that was the biggest at kickoff, that was the biggest gap between like FIFA coefficient rankings, like in a match before. It was like Argentina was first and Cabo Verde is like, in the, I believe, like around the hundreds, and then I think there was another game, there might have been a game after that broke the record again, but yeah, I mean, you really don't often see games like that where you've got your number 1 ranked team in the world like going up against a team that essentially like like sometimes doesn't even like train, like doesn't like train year round. Like it's pretty common to have international players from smaller countries and middle countries like who are not professional players, but when the team itself is like, even the organization around the team is like a part-time operation, like it's pretty interesting to see. And they showed a lot of heart, really made Argentina fight for it. So
Yeah, I know like a lot of us have that like Jamaican bobsled team story that we grew up with, and it's always so great to see stuff like that materialize even today.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave Kennedy out of this too much, so it might be a good time to pivot over to some like more political topics underneath FIFA. I know a lot of people were probably seeing headlines that like ICE agents were going to be at a lot of these World Cup matches. FIFA has a long track record of cozying up to authoritarians. The last World Cup was at Qatar, if I'm not mistaken.
And Russia before that.
In Russia, yeah. A whole bunch of like coerced labor in those like stadium buildings out there, I know. But I wonder like what has been the biggest standout for you this cycle?
I mean,
biggest controversy
yeah, sure. So well, I know that like with Qatar and with Russia, the lead up to these tournaments are fraught with that sort of thing where it's like, oh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen and this is going to be a threat and I like this is going to be a powder keg and all of that. And like, to be honest, like when you have to give credit to the boots on the ground employees of FIFA who aren't there to line their pockets with federation money. They're there to like facilitate this sport at a world level and to put on a show that we all get to enjoy. And so like, if I can for a second, credit where credit's due, this World Cup's gone well. Qatar went well for the most part, same with Russia. I haven't been to any of these games. I don't really have the the means or the time to travel. We're sort of like pretty far away from like Kansas City and Atlanta would be the closest for us, and I just didn't go. So I can't speak to like how each individual match was handled security wise, but you do worry about everything that people say is going to happen or whatever, and all of that come into fruition. But for me, the biggest thing I think, and the one that affected like my perception of the cup the most, was probably Florian Balogun's red card being overturned. Not because, and I had a long conversation with several people about this, but like FIFA has an independent commission that handles rescinding red cards, reviewing VAR decisions, reviewing match replays and things like that. And so like did Trump make a phone call and overturn a red card as a favor from Gianni Infantino? Sure, absolutely possible. But realistically speaking, I don't necessarily think that happened. I think that the red card itself was soft. That was probably the fifth or sixth tackle of the tournament that would have like fallen into the same like category of tackle, and that was the first like card given. And like as the host country, FIFA's got an incentive to not cozy up to us and not to do us any favors, but to keep us sort of in the fight in that sense. And so I can understand why that red card was overturned. What I can't get behind and vouch for is that sort of thing, like these players aren't insulated from all of that. This isn't the type of, we don't live in a world where these players can just be like put in a bubble during the tournament and not be party to what's going on outside. And so like Florian Balogun had to carry the weight of that decision being overturned into that next match. The team had to carry the weight of that being overturned in the next match. Belgium got to go into that match with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And that absolutely has an effect. That absolutely carries. And I feel like if I were Mauricio Pochettino, the United States head coach, like I think even after the overturn, I sit Florian Balogun for that match. I probably would not have started him. But all of that being said, I don't think that lost the match for us. I think we just did not show up at all that day. Really played extremely poorly compared to the rest of the tournament we'd had. But yeah, that was what stood out to me the most so far, is that sort of, it's just noise, unnecessary noise, and that sort of got in the way. So. Yeah.
Well, I guess my biggest topic on my thing is I was reading about how the World Cup ended up being like the biggest betting event.
Yeah.
And it was like $55 billion. So, I mean, I obviously don't know much about soccer, but do you feel like there was an influence from the betting prediction markets at all? Like in a way that you haven't seen before, or did you notice that at all?
Not as a soccer fan, no. I don't think that, no, probably not. I think sports betting is its own problem.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
is like absolutely exploding right now. But I don't, our soccer's a particularly hard sport to match fix, compared to other sports. And so I don't necessarily know. I haven't heard anything about any particular results or over or under, like weird stat line being called.
Yeah, I hadn't heard any like weird stories like I have with
Yeah.
other sports,
Yeah.
but just that there was a lot of betting. I am curious if like because America didn't go as far, if like the average person would have gotten more and more invested if it was something like that. I do feel like that maybe drives it. Like a non-soccer fan would be more into betting on sports if they were, something to bet on. But I don't know how you. Is there
I
like
think,
a
like,
is there like a
Toney is
bandwagon
saying-
team for the World Cup?
If it's like there's so many in there that it almost feels like there's like 4 or 5, big
Yeah.
favorites coming in. I think a lot of people have been mentioning Messi a lot because of his age and also how well he's been doing this cup. But I want to ask you about that. You said soccer is harder to fix games for. Is that because of like how consequential that each goal is compared to something like football, where it's like the points are up over 60 or 70 points almost every game? Same with the NBA.
Yeah, that's part of it, but also it's just the amount of variables in a soccer game are immense, and it's not alone in that regard. I don't mean to say that many other sports are. I'm sure there are sports that are easy to fix and things that are easy to, like take for example. Pretty sure Conor McGregor went into that fight the other day with his knee already injured, and then faked a kick and then got paid.
But that's true.
With soccer, you've got there is absolutely match fixing. Like I don't want to pretend that or even act like that's not a thing. Like it definitely happens, but you kind of have to have at least 11 people involved. It's like it takes one person can't like really throw a football game like unless they like really try. Like you definitely see. There have been examples of players like either like betting on or having associates like bet on cards or whether or not like they'll be thrown out of the game or things like that, and then like going and like racking up like cards and things like that. But to like match fix an entire game can be pretty difficult and is inherently subtle. There's definitely like sometimes there's like favoritism and like unintended favoritism, especially with head referees and the way that they like carry games, the way they like give out cards can be like influenced by like pressures that aren't necessarily like intended, but by that I mean like a great example of that is England and Argentina in the semifinal. Like I think they went into the hydration break with England on like 7 fouls and Argentina on 14, but England had the only yellow card for an absolute yellow card tackle on Messi. It was 100%, a legit card, but Argentina probably should have also had a card at that point. And it comes like, what's the source of that? Like, is it a referee who has never officiated a loss that Messi's played in? I mean, I think those things exist. It's not an accusation, and it's not, I'm not necessarily like saying that I think that game was fixed or anything, but you see like referees like treating teams differently in a game, or showing leniency where maybe if they were like a robot or emotionless, they wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
So is that you supporting AI referees?
No.
Yeah. How are these? I feel like this is creeping into a lot of sports like right now. I know like baseball has that new system that can. I think they can
ABS.
physically track exactly where. They can physically track where the ball is, and I'm seeing a whole bunch of these. It almost reminds me of like horse racing, like to determine who is like about to cross the finish line in a horse race, but it's just to determine who's offsides.
Who's offside? Yeah.
At these soccer matches.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read somewhere it's a whole bunch of like incredibly high definition cameras, and they have a virtual version of the game running all the time.
Yeah, and it's the same. I mean, it's close to the same technology they use for ABS in baseball, which is Hawkeye. It's 12 cameras that track the ball, and I'm personally, not to, I know this is a soccer podcast, but as a amateur baseball fan, also I am 100% for ABS. I think umpires are like the worst part of baseball in my opinion. But and the offside line cameras and the goal line cameras, like those goal line technology has been, in my opinion, like nothing but a good thing in soccer. VAR is a whole other debate. We could have a 3-hour podcast on my opinions on VAR and like how that changes the game, but we have the technology now to be able to track the ball and in 3D space, and know when it's crossed the line. And because in soccer, like I don't know if either of you guys are familiar, but on a regulation like FIFA pitch, the lines are 6 inches wide, and the ball has to be entirely past the entire line. There has to be like air between the ball and the line for anything to be like out or in the goal or over or whatever. And so like there's a lot of times where goals have been given from goal line saves, or goals that didn't quite go all the way in were given, because they were perceived to be in because they were like 99% of the way over the line. And goal line technology is like really fixed that. They can look back. The referees in all of the top 5 flights, at least, they have a watch that will tell them as soon as the ball is tracked beyond that or inside of that goal box, like they get an indication that a goal's been scored, and so that helps with like indecision about goal line things. But as for offside lines, like the technology itself is relatively tight and often is not the point of contention. The point of contention is often that players can be offside by like a hair's breadth, and so you start to get into this debate of like what is offside, like what advantage is gained. Like there are a lot of movements for changing the definition of offside to any part of the attacking player being onside, like is onside, but then all that really does is change where the line technology has to be applied. So it can be really...
So you're just like you're running up to the defenders with your arms kind of held back as far as you can.
Yeah.
Like, and then I think like the consensus is like it's upper body, like anytime your torso would like lean past somebody. I guess you're saying there's a debate
I don't know
there.
exactly what FIFA's definition of offside is right now, because it has changed a couple times in the last few years about like what is allowed to be offside. But like I think as of right now, it's like I'm pretty sure my understanding of it at least is that like you're like if your shoulders are beyond, like if any part of your like upper body is beyond the line, then or beyond the last defender, then you're offside. But I'm not entirely sure about the definition of it and like what to be honest though, it's like whatever the definition is, you're really talking about inches and a small margin, and good strikers are like people who play the offside line, like players like Erling Haaland and Mbappe and
Yeah,
Harry
speaking
Kane.
of Holland, he has been like one of my favorites to watch. I just love his mannerisms. I
Yeah,
love. It feels like he just comes out of nowhere a lot of the times in these matches.
that's his job, and I mean, and that's where it comes. That's where the offside line comes in. Like he is like a fox in the box striker. His job is to be on the shoulder of that last defender at all times, and sometimes even offside on purpose, just to keep the defender occupied with his position. And then his job is to time his run to match the pass of the ball and be beyond his defender. And if he's doing his job well, he's appearing out of nowhere and just dunking it on you, and like. Yeah, it's been interesting to see Holland kind of not turn his image around, but like become this player that is very relatable and like easy to watch. Because I mean, his football's already like high flying and fantastic, but now he's got like a YouTube channel and like, he's on social media and he's like, he's obviously got a personality. As an Arsenal fan, I can't stand the guy. He's a Man City striker, and he's got some history with Arsenal and all that. But yeah, from a personal level,
I wanted to bring up this article too while we're on the topic. I was browsing Jackman just the other day, and I was seeing this article about how Holland's like a Viking aesthetic, like with the horned helmets I've had, the road chants that the crowd has been doing, and everything, is almost like taking back this like right-wing fantasy of the Vikings from I don't know, individuals like Charlie Kirk and literally like I'll see you in Valhalla, Charlie. Who was that? The FBI director, Kash Patel.
Oh,
but yeah, he's just been a joy to watch. I love seeing him. He feels like he just like nothing really makes him sweat, and he's always just like I don't know. Grinning at the camera, like that damn Shrek meme. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, club-wise, Arsenal makes him sweat, and that's where the like.
Sorry to hype him up in front of you.
No. It carries over, because like, Gabriel, who is Brazil's center back, number 6, and William Saliba, who's France's center back. That's our club pairing. Those are our 2 center backs at Arsenal. And Gabriel and Holland spent the entire domestic season like at each other's throats like that. That was like the biggest like striker defensive rivalry in the league. And then Norway plays Brazil, and Gabriel had a howler of a match against Holland, and Holland absolutely just dunked the ball on him at one point, just completely broke his line and like headed the ball in over Gabriel's like essentially like cast aside for him, and it was like tough to watch as an Arsenal fan. But yeah, I mean those storylines carry like all of these players in the World Cup, like, or for the most part play in the like higher tiers of football around the world, and a lot of them like play together. Rivalries like that have ruined World Cup teams before too, so
I've got a lot of people that I follow online that are all seemingly Arsenal fans. I know the lead director of the recent, I think the newest God of War game coming out, is a huge Arsenal fan.
Oh, really?
Been following them for a while. But Mamdani out of New York City, huge Arsenal fan.
Yeah, lifelong Arsenal fan too. Not a. I mean, you will have bandwagoners in soccer, like fair weather fans do your thing, in any sport really. And since Arsenal won the league for the first time in 22 years, like we're gonna have some people hopping on the bus and whatnot, and that's totally fine. I have no, I'm not like the type of fan that I don't gatekeep the team. I think if anybody wants to support, cool, and if you support for a while and leave, cool, your prerogative. But yeah, Mamdani has been a fan his entire life, from what I understand, which is cool to see. So.
Kennedy, did you? I think you might be muted. Maybe.
Am I?
No. You're good.
Oh no, I was like, no.
No, I feel like this intersection of politics and football is about as far away from Kennedy's political home as possible. Maybe.
You've managed to make me quiet I sent you a video, Jacob, of the.
Is it the Hank Hill
I
one?
don't know if
Yeah.
you've watched
hold
the
on.
newest season of King of the Hill when he comes back from Saudi Arabia and he's secretly obsessed with soccer.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
I need to watch that.
This is as far as my soccer knowledge goes, is watching the latest season of King of the Hill. Oh, it might not let you watch it. Oh, wait, it's YouTube. It will. We had
Kennedy,
problems
you
with
should
videos
pick a NWSL team.
Okay, let me look at the options here.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I think Louisville may end up being one eventually. I think they're like second tier. Louisville has like a
Aren't
second
they-
tier women's team.
Aren't they playing like Trinidad
Hey,
and
I went to,
Tobago or
um,
something?
What is the
Who's
team in
that?
Nashville?
Who's that?
I went to a soccer game at Nissan Stadium before the soccer team had their own stadium
Yeah.
in Nashville.
Yeah. I've seen.
Had a great time.
I watched the U.S. women's team play Scotland there in like 2012, I think.
I used to be really into women's soccer, like interpersonal relationships. They all date.
You don't say.
They're all in love and getting married.
Yeah,
Megan
when is the heated rivalry for soccer coming out? You know,
Yeah.
Well, I
No,
watched
the next
literally.
cultural splash.
Yeah.
Actually, Heated Rivalry was written by a woman, and the story is like a sapphic story written about men, and that's why it blew up, because people like that better.
Yeah. We're
But,
getting a lot of those right now. What's that other one? Off campus? The hockey
Yeah.
one about?
Oh,
that's like
hockey's blowing
like a
up
college
because of
drama.
that.
We need the
Are you familiar with,
pickleball heated rivalry.
Megan Rapinoe,
Rapinoe.
and Sue Bird,
Mhm.
they separated after 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
They weren't married, though.
I think I remember Audrey and Marley talking about that. Huge fans.
I used to be a big Megan fan.
Yeah, I mean Megan Rapinoe is probably one of the most politicizing like people in world sports, because she is just so like openly like she is so openly out, and but even more so just like openly opinionated. Like I don't particularly
Doesn't like stay.
No, and I don't particularly like. I don't know. I don't particularly like her personally. I feel like a lot of times she muddies the waters of the things she's trying to help with by being so just like over the top, and like I don't mean to say like she's not like too loud in her like in her like any sort of like
advocacy.
Yeah, I just there are times where she's like speaks before she thinks, and can be like, you want a spokesperson who is willing to like bridge gaps and meet people where they're at, and like she has a reputation for being like volatile in that sense or whatever. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
The
reading
rivalry is heated.
the rivalry.
Trinity Rodman is a huge like probably one of the best like women's soccer players in the world. That's Dennis Rodman's daughter.
Oh wow. That's so dope.
I mean, that is the least important thing about her, and I think she'd agree. I think they're like estranged
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever, but yeah, she's Dennis Rodman's daughter. So.
Megan Rapinoe's latest defense of males in women's sports collapses under its own hypocrisy. I think this is
That sounds like it leans a little right, but
yeah, it was like FoxNews.com. 4 days ago though, so
yeah.
she's staying on it.
I do have a opinionated controversy to talk about though, and Tony, you may have seen this, but after Argentina beat England, there was a fan in the stands with a big old banner that said "Las Malvinas son Argentinas," which is pretty much just saying the Falkland Islands belong to Argentina.
Yeah. And those people who inhabit them are Argentinian. Yeah. Which I think is not, from my understanding of that particular situation, is not the
Not the case.
Not the opinion of the people who live in the Falkland Islands.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it is.
Yeah. They most recently did a referendum where it was 98% voted to stay with Britain.
Yeah, I think it was
And
three.
I would be the first.
3 people voted against
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah.
There's not a lot of people out there, but
No, that's true.
I would be the first one to come to the defense of a colonized area.
Mhm.
Turns out the
Yeah.
Falkland Islands were completely uninhabited when the
Right.
Brits turned up.
Yeah.
The only reason Argentina is claiming them is because they're close.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody doesn't know, the Falkland the Falkland Wars between Argentina and England happened, I believe, in the 70s, underneath like a military junta, and they're like, we're kind of losing support domestically. We should probably start a war. They thought about invading, like, I'm pretty sure they thought about invading Costa Rica, but they're like, that's a little too close to the U.S. We don't want to risk it. The U.K. would never defend these islands if we invaded, and it turns out Margaret Thatcher was like, fuck yeah, I will.
Yeah.
It was like a 10-day war or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and Argentina uses it now like we use Greenland. It's a right-wing distractionary talking point to keep people nationalized and, to
yeah,
keep
it's a way for Malay to like kind of just parrot Donald Trump.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's see. Do I have any other stories? I mean, I would say this turned out pretty damn good, and I think like you were saying, that's a testament to like FIFA's employees, not necessarily their management.
Yeah, I mean, even their management up to and below the political level, you're talking about a massive undertaking, like one of the biggest like organizational projects in the world, and so to pull it off with any successes is pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, like the Olympics is huge, but like the Olympics usually happens in one location. This is like stadiums and stadiums and stadiums.
Yeah. Well, and the Olympics, like, also they're the infrastructure around each team in the World Cup can be as big as the infrastructure around an entire country's world Olympic team. Like soccer itself is so. You're talking about 22 players who all or really it's like 27, I think, on the squads now, plus all of their, all of the tertiary stuff that comes with moving a country's like headquarters to a different country for a while and stuff. Like I think Spain was headquartered in Chattanooga, and every team like picks a city to go essentially live in for a month or whatever. There's so much. I mean, there's so much. Like so many logistical problems to be solved to put these on.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when the political comes in there too. Like the poor Iranian team being forced to take flights out of Mexico to their games and immediately go back. I think they were in Tijuana for the entire length of their stay. And it's just an unnecessary boundary. None of these guys are cells that are gonna like try anything. It's just fear mongering. They're here to play sport. And they had that. I think one of the referees as well was a Somalian man with like perfect papers, perfect credentials, all of his FIFA identification on him.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that, because that's what I had heard was that it wasn't that he didn't have a certain like he didn't have like a passport or something like that. There was something that he was missing from that was the reason. But I mean,
he forgot his real ID.
Like but I mean, even if he had like get it figured out. Like you know what I'm saying? Like why isn't that solvable with a phone call? If Florian Balogun's red card is, you know what I mean? Like
yeah. I was hoping we could maybe speak a little bit about a cetera with y'all's anniversary coming up. I'll be sure to link that down in the description of wherever I post this.
Yeah.
I only moved to Western Kentucky in 2019, and I probably didn't get up to a cetera until 2020 or 2021, maybe even 2022. But it has been a mainstay since I moved up here to Paducah 2 years ago. I'm in there almost every week. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about like the origins of the coffee shop and like how y'all's democratically run operation goes.
Sure. So, when you first came to et cetera, were we still a drive-through?
I think y'all may have had that up, but by the time I came around, I remember vividly. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna love this place," because I pulled up in the back parking lot, and you had done those Breath of the Wild paintings all over the fences and everything.
Okay, so yeah, that would have been I think like 2022 then at that point.
My roommate, who was a grad student at Murray State is the one that brought me up here to it, and I was, immediately captured.
Cool. Yeah, so the coffee shop sprang from the artist relocation program in Lower Town in the early 2000s, where the city was essentially offering properties and lots in that neighborhood for $1, with the caveat that you had to have a certain monetary value improvement plan related to the arts in store to get the grant for the dollar purchase or whatever. And so Alan and Johanna Rhodes, at this point, who are former teachers at Paducah Tillman, were in the process of retiring, and were on a walk in Lower Town one day after visiting a friend down there, and Johanna sort of was just like, I think I want to live down here, I think I want to do something down here. And Alan was okay, well, what do you want to do? And Johanna was like, well, what if we started a coffee shop and had an apartment above it? And so I think they went from the seed of that idea on that walk to applied, approved, and building within the span of a couple months. It was really quick. And their daughter Jean, who is my wife now, at the time was, yeah, appreciate it, thank you. She was in school in Boston at Emerson at the time and was working at a coffee shop up there, and so she came down to help Alan and Johanna sort of get their feet under them and get things set up, and then would go back to school and would come back and did that a couple times and ended up staying. The coffee shop opened in October of 2006 with 2 employees and Alan and Johanna. So it was Alan, Johanna, Jean Rhodes, and Emily Clark, who is one of our owners now also. And then I think Justin was hired in 2007, I believe, maybe 2008. I graduated in 2008, moved to Paducah from West Tennessee that summer, and was hired there in April 2009. And so I've been there 18 years.
Damn.
Which is, kind of crazy to think about.
Whole child
John
life.
was hired the next year, and Levi was hired a couple of years after that. And that was the 6 of us were the ones when Alan and Johanna were considering retiring again from the coffee shop and giving it all to Jean, and having Jean run with it. Jean was sort of like, I either don't want to do this, or if I'm going to do this, I want to do it with people. I need help. I need to not have this place just swallow me whole or whatever. So she sort of she effectively just gave us a ownership of the 6 or the 5 employees plus her, who had been there, maybe not, I think at the time it wasn't necessarily that we'd been there the longest, but we were the ones who were always ready to go and ready to solve problems and ready to be involved beyond our pay rate, so to speak, and
yeah,
interested in how things were being handled and all that. And so we bought the shop from over a period between late 2016 through 2017. We ended up buying the shop, and then just recently in the last couple of years we've bought the building and the lots around it. So now et cetera has always been effectively 100% employee owned, because Johanna worked for the shop and did a lot of the office work that I now do. But as of the last couple of years, we are officially, fully, unequivocally employee owned. All 6 of us, or well, now all 4 of us, we all work bar shifts. I had a bar shift this morning. And yeah, to speak on the democratic nature of it, since the very beginning, Jean sort of took her experience from the coffee shop in Boston, knew that if things needed to be done or changed at the shop, the way to get that done was to have people feel invested and feel like the decisions that they were having to carry out weren't unilaterally handed down to them and things like that. And so from the very beginning, essentially policy at the shop has always been determined by vote or discussion through employee meetings. We have about between 4 and 6 meetings a year where we all get together at the shop, we eat pizza, and we go over, you know, like, hey, like, how are we doing this thing? How are we going to do that thing? Like, who are we going to hire? Like, you know, how are we going to change, you know, this or whatever? And, you know, now that we have 4 owner operators who also work the bar, it's changed in ways, you know, like it's less, you know, the employee meetings aren't 4 hours long and contentious anymore because me, Levi, Emily, and John like handle all of the like day-to-day like running of the shop, things that like basically everything that doesn't change our employees' day-to-day lives or workplace environment, like we handle all that, you know, mainly so that, you know, we have a justified income and they don't have to worry about things that they're not getting paid to worry about, you know, like, and then the things that they want to worry about they can worry about. And so, you know, our meeting agendas are always open. People can add to them, and, you know, everything from like, hey, I want to change a recipe, to like, hey, I want to like wholesale change a policy at the shop. Like, basically the you know, the rule is like, if you want to change something, you have to at least have an idea of what you want to change, and when it's time to talk about it at the meeting, like, the soapbox is yours. Like, nobody's gonna argue for you. Like, you have to like come to the meeting and be a part of it, and if you don't come to the meeting, you don't get a say in, you know, what's being changed or what's being done. And for the most part, you know, it for the most part it works really well. I feel like people enjoy working there. I feel like it's a workplace that isn't, you know, I mean, maybe Kennedy can, you know, speak on that more, because obviously I have a lot more skin in the game, but you know, I feel like it's a place that's, you know, worth being a part of. So
Yeah, personally, best job ever, other than, you know, I had to leave, but
yeah, other than like a real career, like we're not, yeah, like we're not.
yeah, I was like, it's not.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we're not a ladder.
I found etc. I actually used to come to etc. when I was in like 7th grade. So, in my interview, they asked me when the first time I came to etc. and I was like, I biked here with my aunt in like 2007.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never thought I was gonna be at etc. But it turned out to be kind of exactly what I needed, and it's like a community, but not in like a culty weird way. Like, everyone just kind of has your back, and it's a good place to work. And I think especially having worked corporate, you can like get really used to feeling like they don't even care if you live or die. So it really is nice to work somewhere where, like, maybe a little too much, I tell everyone my life story and my problems, but, you know, I felt connected to everyone and like actually liked coming to work. So, and at the time, like, at some point I had another job and it just still wasn't the same. Like, that was my job, and etc. was like my fun time. Like, even getting up at 5 a.m, it was like, well, once you're there, you're just chilling. Like,
it's definitely a family. I mean, like, you know, it's a family in the, like, not in the way that like your Burger King manager tells you it's a family to exploit your wages and your hours, but a family in the fact that, like, you know, all of my, like, the vast majority of my closest friends like work at the shop. You know, like Ricky, who has been like essentially my best friend for, you know, as long as I've been, like, I mean, I met Ricky the same year I was hired at the shop. Like, you know, he's been my best friend forever. Like, Levi and Emily and John are 100% like my family. Like, you know, these are people I would legitimately take a bullet for. And our employees are all, you know, like, extremely close friends of mine, and the network that they get to create is really cool. I think people find, you know, people can come to the shop and like find a social home if they like did not have one or whatever, and it's a sincere one. It's not a, you know, like, we all sort of like lean on each other, and like Kennedy said, like, almost to a detriment at times, where it's like, if you don't, like, if you want to be hired at the coffee shop, like, you kind of also like, there's like an expected amount of assimilation almost. like obviously it's your right to like be as private as you want to be, but like, you can't really like work at etc. for like an extended period of time and like be completely like separate from your like personal and social life there, because like people will just like want to be involved.
Yeah, they want to
with
be your
you.
friend.
Yeah.
I was like so burnt out from my corporate job. I was like, literally told my sister, I was like, I'm gonna go into this job and keep my life totally separate at work. And then like 3 weeks in, I was like, yeah, this is absolutely not happening. Then I'm like besties with everybody. So,
Yeah.
but
It's funny you said that about because we did ask you when the first time you came to etc. was, because that's getting more and more to be a thing. Like, when we hired Josh, like I remember working Friday nights when Josh would come in with like Megan, like on his he's like a teenager, he's like in high school. This is his like Friday night like social time, like coming into the shop. And then we just hired an employee a couple weeks ago, who's the first employee that was born after the shop was created. So
Whoa.
We tend to. I mean, like just because of the like structure of the job and the like type of job it is, like we tend to hire people like between the ages of like 18 and like 25. Like that just tends to be the people who like need the coffee shop structure like as employment or whatever. And so we hired a girl who will turn 19 in a couple weeks, I think, or like very soon, and the shop turns 20 in October. So she is younger than the shop, which is
crazy.
Kind of wild.
Yeah, it sounds like y'all have like
speaking
a
on
huge. Oh, go ahead, Kennedy.
I was just gonna say on the bringing stuff to the meeting. Before I came, they didn't even sell lavender syrup.
That's right, we did it. Yeah.
And
in fact, we were actively not selling it.
Yeah. It wasn't just like, oh, we didn't know. They knew. I had to. I was on the soapbox.
The menace
about that. I actually worked everyone for months before. Wouldn't this be good? Doesn't this taste delicious?
I was your hardest sell because I was like, no.
I felt like by the time I brought it to the meeting, I had already talked to everyone and they knew.
Yeah.
But then from that came my employee invention, the Lavender Menace, which shockingly to no one has some political undertones in the name, which most people don't know. But
it's a good name too.
Yeah. So, and a popular drink. We can pull the numbers. I'll ask John.
Yeah, let's see the stats.
Yeah.
One time John did pull the stats. I was like, he knew I would want to see that. It's like, but yeah.
But yeah, what I was gonna say is it sounds like etc. kind of values like an amount of mental investment into the company, which I think y'all take care of the employees pretty well and kind of give that back to them. But yeah, it's like if you aren't gonna be concerned about like making the store as good as it can be and like doing all these crazy events like Lower Town Arts Fest earlier this year was incredible. Having y'all just kind of tied right into it, it felt seamless. It felt like it was always meant to happen that way.
Well, to be completely fair and honest, like it was seamless for us. I mean, like we are so just absolutely underwater with that festival because of the proximity to the front door that like we just like they wanted to use the yard for a stage and we were like, bet, what do you need? And it was like power and space and we were like, cool, go take it. And we did nothing like as far as the festival goes. So like credit to Josh Coffey and the rest of the team over there, Will and all them who put that festival on, because that's beyond anything. Like we just have to like grip the counter and hold on for that day. It's our biggest 2 days of the year for sure.
Dude, it was like black coffee only when I was in there. I was like rocket fuel or hot black coffee. I wasn't trying to keep anybody keep anybody.
I mean, we stream on it, so it's like it's smooth. Like don't get me wrong, like it's not the type of shift. It's the like shift that like people really look forward to. Like I love working the festival because it's just so like it's constant. It reminds me of Friday. It reminds me of all the like good parts of Friday nights that we used to do. We used to be open really late on Friday night and do like a open mic night thing that was sort of a like nice like social third space for a while. And it had a lot of positives, and like the festival really feels like that. And so we really look forward to it. But it's definitely like we're doing. We do probably like we do like we do our normal like Saturday business like twice in a day, both Friday and Saturday, and so it's like it's a lot. It's about the limit of product that we can ship through the space.
I was about to ask, like I can't imagine the physical inventory prep that would be required for something like that.
Yeah, it's like the inventory is definitely a part of that. It's something that we have to. Sorry, I should have silenced my phone. Yeah, definitely. The inventory is a thing, but I mean, it's really more just like the bar was designed in 2006 for Johanna to like sell a couple cups of coffee a day out of, and like now we're doing like $2,000+ days or whatever, and so it's just like even if we wanted to sell more smoothies, even if we had more smoothies to sell, which we often do, like we just like on Arts and Music Fest days, like we just cannot go any faster. We like cannot possibly get you in and out the door any quicker or put any more smoothies through the blender. Like it's just like the bottleneck is the like infrastructure of the shop at this point. So
how do you think the 20th anniversary is going to compare to, because you're staying open for 24 hours? How is that?
I don't know. I think it's going to be fun. Like I think it's going to be a big day for sure, but I don't think it'll be like an Arts and Music Fest day necessarily. I hope it is. That would be really cool if like people really show out for that. We're definitely going to like try and make sure that at least like, you know, like roughly like noon to 10 p.m. is, you know, there's always something happening and, you know, things going on and something worth like being there. We're going to have some like vendors and whatnot. You know, we're still working on nailing everything down, so I don't want to like make any like promises or do any like advertising for the specifics of the event here necessarily. But yeah, I hope it's going to be something cool. And yeah, we're going to be 24 hours. We did that at the 10-year and like, I mean, the 3 hours of the morning, like, nobody was there, but it was still completely open, so, like...
I'll be there. Jacob and I, live pod,
what the day was again?
20th.
It's the Saturday before Halloween this year. I think it's October 24th.
October
it's the one that
24th.
says, can I get a what?
Yeah, October 24th, yeah. We'll be open from 7:30, or... No, that's a Saturday. We'll be open from 8 on Saturday morning to 7:30 a.m. on Sunday, and then we're going to close for 30 minutes so we can like sweep the floor and mop, and then we're going to go.
Yeah, I was going to ask how the transition was going to go.
Yeah, we always take like we just like close for 30 minutes just to, like.
Is it the same people like the close and to the open? Is that going to be the same shift?
No, but there's there are swing shifts though. Like John will just like come in for his open at like 4:30 in the morning, you know, and just like hop on the bar, and so
I'm gonna be the last customer of the day. See you guys tomorrow.
First in, last out.
Walk home, come back.
Yeah.
Me
like
again.
a Wook on the rail. I'm gonna be
yeah, there you go.
At that bar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited for that. Like Kennedy was saying, I'm hoping that we can be there, maybe recording some stuff and
that'd be cool.
Chatting up with some friends.
I'm sure there will be times for that. Like I feel like there'd be time in the afternoon to do that. There'd be time at like, you know, if you wanted to come in at 2:30 in the morning and record a like owl-eyed podcast or whatever.
Gotta get the night vision cam out for that one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're gonna have like events every hour, and we're gonna have, you know, like we'll have birthday cake probably like twice that day, like one in the morning and one in the afternoon or something like that. And we're gonna have some vendors. We're gonna have you know, we're talking about trying to get Paducah Film Society to like show a film in the yard or something. We're gonna
do a soccer match. Have a soccer match out in the yard.
That'd be nice. Like October. I mean, Saturday in October will be prime Premier League season, but we're not paying the rights for that. I'll tell you that.
Maybe we get the Louisville team to play the Nashville team out here. Let's do that.
Yeah, right. We'll just get Southside Football Club, sponsored by Sayer Coffee House, to play in the yard and put my kid on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a weird 20 years, man.
Did you think you were going to be here 20 years later when you first started?
Not when I first started, no. I didn't. When I first started, I mean, I was 19 years old and kind of lost. So like, I didn't know. I don't even think I was like considering what like the future was. I just knew I was like having a good time in Paducah and like wanted to stay there, and knew that like a lot of my friends worked in the coffee shop, and like, you know, like Gene's partner at the time was like one of my really good friends. And so I like wanted to be involved in that scene, and like I don't even drink coffee. You know, Gene like sort of like lied about that to the rest of the employees and like told them to like shut up and never tell anybody that, you know, I started there without even like really liking or giving a shit about coffee. But yeah, after about like 3 or 4 years there, and like knowing I wasn't immediately like running to do anything else or whatever, you know, the more Gene asked for, or didn't even ask necessarily, but just like opened doors for, you know, me to be like more involved or have a bigger idea about what was going on, like the more we started to, or the more I started to be like, okay, like I could, you know, if there's a future to be had here, like I'd be down for it or whatever. And then yeah, sort of timing just worked out. You know, that Alan and Johanna wanted to be done around that time, and so
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like you are the. I mean, I haven't worked there. I'm just an observer, okay. But it feels like you might be the glue up there, the kind of like nervous system that keeps everything. You've got your teddy.
I don't know. I feel like of the owners, the fact that the shop is like a club is like the most not, or like that aspect of it is important to me more than maybe like John, Emily, or Levi. And not to say that like they don't think it's important at all. I just like, you know, I'm very like, John is very pragmatic and Levi is very focused and efficient and, you know, about the business, and Emily's very much like, you know, like sort of like older sister and like mother to a lot of our employees and stuff like that. But like I don't know, it's tough to say. It's like, because I don't know, it's hard to say.
Everyone kind of brings a different vibe. That's what I was gonna mention. Like the owners all have like a different energy, and I think it's nice. Like especially when you're used to working somewhere with like one boss, they all kind of have different strengths, and like you can definitely see
got Harry Potter houses.
Yeah, like John is.
Oh God, yeah. Don't even. If you made Aaron choose between my or Levi's house, he might actually like pop. I don't know.
or Emily, you're pushing.
Yeah, or Emily.
You're spreading him thin.
Yeah,
but like John, you know, like he's such a fix-it guy.
Yeah.
I think, like, you know,
I love
Levi's like,
dude, I love John. He's been
like
coming into my work every now and then, picking up tools and stuff like that. It's always so good to see him. It's like on the other
John's
foot,
awesome.
you know.
Yeah, John was the last one in the door as far as like ownership goes or whatever. It was sort of like, you know, he was hired a year after me, and like, you know, like Jean didn't like hand these things out like golden tickets necessarily. It wasn't like she was just like yes or no. It was all about who was showing initiative in a way, and like who seemed interested or whatever. But, you know, I think she like debated, you know, whether or not a sixth person at the time was a good idea, and like John was that sixth person. And I think, like, you know, he's like a Swiss Army knife of a human being. Like he's just so knowledgeable about so many things that, and willing to share it, and like willing to be, you know, willing to like point you in the right direction at the very least on so many things that, you know, it was sort of like, what are we going to do like without John if this happens or this happens or this happens, you know? And it was like so many of those things piled up so quickly theoretically that we were like we gotta, like, we need John, you know what I mean? And like, but yeah, I definitely feel like I try to be like, I'm there. I think I'm the only one who's there like literally every single day. Like I live across the street, and like, but like my days off, like I still go in for like an hour or so every day, and like not for any like tangible reason necessarily, but like, I don't know, I feel like part of the wallpaper there almost, and I feel like that staying consistent with that is like can be good, or I hope it's good or something. I don't know. It's tough, dude, because I don't want to like say what the perception is, because I don't know. I still have to like. I think I have the hardest out of all four of us. I have the hardest time not of like being people's bosses. Like it like I really struggle with that, because like I am really good friends with everybody that works there for the most part, and so like when the time comes to like be like, hey dog, you need to tighten up or something like that, you know, it's tough for me to have that conversation. I really like have a hard time doing that, because
Levi kind of has the like, hey buddy. like Levi can break it easily.
I try to come from like an older brother perspective, as opposed to like a boss or whatever, because I mean, and like truthfully, I'm just like,
as someone who's had bad
desperately in need
bosses,
of people
none
like
of them
me,
were at
you know,
etc. So they're all just different versions of like easy people to deal with. But
Yeah.
but yeah, everyone has a different strength and personality, which is nice. You know, I can't like have girly pop hour with anyone but N. So
Yeah, that's true.
gotta have that with Aaron as well.
Yeah.
All right. We have crossed
All
the
right,
1
what are
hour
we
mark.
at?
You guys want to
Okay.
anything else you guys want to bring up or talk about, or any final words?
Let's see. You can find me at Toney Paints on Instagram.
Yeah, I was like,
at the
plug
coffee
your.
shop any given day between 10 and noon probably.
And on the walls around town, if you
That's true
are,
sometimes.
if you're
Toney
local,
Paints. Toney Paints.
That's right. Yep.
it's not a lie. He really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll plug some stuff right here.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, come to the coffee shop if you don't know about it, or if you do know about it, come to the coffee shop. Come check it out. Support Arsenal Football Club if you're getting into football.
Join your local football club.
Yeah, come play soccer with us. We play pickup every Sunday. It's all ages and open. So yeah, there's something cool. If you're like listening to this podcast and you're like interested in playing soccer, even if you like literally never have in your life, like we have the facilities to do that. We play co-ed all ages pickup every Sunday at McCracken County Youth Soccer Association fields out on County Park Road from 7 to 9 p.m. Most days. We have a group me. You can get a hold of me. I'll put you in there if you want to like play some football. So
Yeah, Tony gave me this pitch, pun intended, a while ago, and I do really wish I had picked up on it. However, I have found my calling with this bicycle. So again, shout out to John and 13th Street Bike Shop, because this thing has been
100%.
rad. I've been having a great time.
That's awesome. Yeah, playing soccer for the first time in your life at like 25 plus is a really great way to feel absolutely terrible for a couple weeks.
Yeah, dude. The first couple of days on the bike, man, I was like,
it's tough.
huffing and puffing everywhere. I have never really had a bike with gears on it before, so that took a lot of getting used to, and I found myself on the wrong setting many a time.
Yeah, and then you'll pay for that really quick too sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Any final words, Kennedy, before I click the stop recording button?
I think I'm okay. Sorry.
She's all good.
I'll have more to say next episode if we don't talk about sports.
Yeah. We're gonna be talking the main
Appreciate
Senate
you
race
just showing me
very
about all
soon.
this, teaching me so many soccer things, Tony.
Of course.
Yeah, and if I manage to get this posted by the end of the day, be sure to look out for the World Cup final tomorrow. Spain v Argentina. I almost forgot who the other team was for a second. But yeah, this has been Mutually Assured Discussion, madpod.ky on most socials, and we appreciate y'all for listening.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
No problem.
All right, and that's that.
Okay.